Hi there, this is Chef Spring Rain Paoli, the author of Eat Conscious and Be Merry. Today I'll be demonstrating on how to make butternut squash soup from my book. And it can be found on the recipe can be found on page 141. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to do roasted garlic. We're going to first take a whole clove of garlic and we're going to chop the whole top off. Stick it right there. That way it pulls everything off. And you can attach this back if you'd like, but put it in some foil. We're going to take a little bit of oil. Generally I put in olive oils in my recipe book, but since researching I found out that olive oil, when heated, becomes a carcinogen. So I no longer use olive oil in heated recipes. This is actually grapeseed oil. It can take higher heat content and it does not turn into a carcinogen. So let's go ahead and drizzle a little bit this on there. And then put the top back on if you want. And fold it into foil. Fold it up nice and tight. Now we're going to put it in the oven at 350 for 30 minutes. So the next thing that we're going to do is cut up the butternut squash. Butternut squash is one of those that is kind of challenging for people if they don't know how to do it, so that's why I figured I'd demonstrate it for you today. We first start by chopping the one end off, chopping the butt end off. If you don't have a really good knife, you can just kind of round it and just kind of roll it. And I do have a good knife, but it's still very hard. So you just want to keep kind of going until you get it up. There you go. And put that aside. And then the next thing is just to cut it again by the neck. Give it a nice good chop there. In order to peel it, instead of using a peeler, it's a lot harder. So it's just easier to use the leverage and use the knife and just kind of, doesn't matter if anything's perfect. Just kind of scrape off the skin the best you can, all the way around. So get those off, just kind of chop them into some chunks here. And then you can do cubes, like so. And then we come to the bulb part. And you want to chop that in half. And then you have seeds. These seeds are awesome. Save them for recipes. You can even roast them and sprinkle them on top of the soup. But we just save it for later. They've got lots of nutrition. They're my good replacement for popcorn. I miss popcorn. My stomach doesn't handle it very well, so this is a really good replacement. It's pretty healthy. So just get all that good goopy stuff out of there. And then you just kind of do the same thing. Just chop and give it a little size out there and then chop it again. So once we get all this chopped up, we're going to put this into, normally put it into a stock pot, but today we're going to put it into a crock pot because I'm making about double the recipe. Put it into the stock pot. We're going to let it cook for a day or so until the event. It'll be nice and good. And then we're also going to add some stock. Normally we do veggie stock, and I do purified water. It's about 4 cups of water. So once we put in the veggie stock with the water for the veggie stock, I use powder. I actually make my own powder by juicing fruits and vegetables, and I use the pulp that's left over and I dry it out. I add nutritional yeast and some spices and things. So basically we use a dry one, or you can use liquid. This dry one is 1 teaspoon per 1 cup of water. So we just put that in the pot. So next we'll cut the leek. I already chopped the top of this leek off and the bottom. So the only part we want to use is basically the white part. You can use a little bit of this green, but you just want to sliver it in some slices. Just real thin slices. And then, like I said, mostly the white, but there's a little bit of green there. It's not a big deal if you get more green. And we'll add that to the pot. Normally you would saute all of this, but since we're doing it in a crock pot, there's no need for that this time. I'm gonna put that right in there and all the veggies will cook right together. The other thing we do is I normally chop a cup of, or half a cup or so of onions. And this time I'm going to save some time and use these freeze-dried onions. They're fabulous. They smell great. They are from this company called Thrive that I just started selling. There are a bunch of fruits and vegetables. It's basically emergency preparedness food, which you can also use in your kitchen. It has a shelf life. The fruits and vegetables are usually about 25 years unopened. And once you open it, you can use it for about a year or so, or maybe even longer. So in order to save yourself a lot of time for chopping, I just put the dry ones right into the stock. So once the onion or the garlic comes out of the oven, it's going to, you want to make sure it cools really nice. And then you can kind of squeeze these little guys right out. There's the tops. Since it's cooked so much, you just squeeze and it pops right out. Just make sure you don't get any of the paper in it. Put that roasted garlic right in there. And we're going to add all of our little flavors. So we have mesquite powder. Instead of using the mesquite that's on the market, it's usually got a lot of natural flavors and things that aren't right in it. So I actually like to use the superfood mesquite powder. Put that in there, gives it that little smoky flavor, and it's actually very sweet. So a teaspoon of that and some rubbed sage. You can do fresh or dried. I did about 2 tablespoons of sage. And about 2 tablespoons of rosemary. And thyme, about 2 tablespoons of thyme. And sea salt, 1 teaspoon of sea salt. I like to use the pink Himalayan salt. It has the most nutrients. And the recipe calls for chipotle peppers, which I'm not going to cut them up today and get all teary-eyed and such, so I do like to use the powder. So this one's about 3 teaspoons of chipotle powder, and that goes in there. And basically all we do is stir it all up. You would have all of your stuff in the pot, give it a nice good stir, put the lid on, and slow cook it, or just do it on the stove for about 30 to 45 minutes, making sure everything's all nice and, cooked, all the flavors are together. Some people like their soup chunky, which is fine. I actually like it more pureed with a few chunks in it. So you can do either one of these little hand blenders or just the regular hand mixer. So, want to make sure it's cooled down a little bit so you're not going to splatter and burn yourself. So once this is done cooking, I'm going to do this one slow cook for about a day or so. So that way it's all nice and ready for a bit. You take the lid off. Like I said, just make sure it's not super hot so you don't splatter yourself. And just kind of puree. After you puree, then you would add your honey. That way it keeps all the nutrients in for the honey and it's not going to be cooked out so much and you're still getting the nice flavor from it. And then when you're done, if you choose, you can sprinkle it with a little bit of cinnamon on top and the roasted butternut squash seeds if you'd like for garnish. And that is our recipe for today, butternut squash soup. And if you'd like to know more information about the Thrive fruits and vegetables, they have all kinds of fruits and vegetables, all kinds of products, very GMO-free. They have some organic stuff even available now, which is great. And that is springpeony.thrivelife.com. And for more information about my blogs and my websites, you can go to www.springrain.com. Thank you. Have a great day.